Right, I'm doing this for a bit of fun. I'm calling it the Vintage Classic Kit Challenge, or the Classic Kit Challenge, because all these kits are really old. I mean, they were built in well, they're as old as me. They were built in the 70s. I was born in 65, so they've been out like 50 years. So, and you can tell, I mean, they'll take and the instructions are, well, they're not new actually, they look a bit. The only good thing about this kit really is the decals are quite new ones. They're proper cartograph decals. But the rest of it, as you can imagine, is it's classic. It's supposed to be, and it's a classic kit. But boy, does it show its age. And I expected this. This is what I wanted it to be. I think building this sort of thing, just actually building it and making it look reasonable is a challenge, isn't it? So, but it's good practice. It's good practice. If you can make something out of one of these things, you can do anything. I mean, look at the detail and look at the trim tabs. It's like I've described it with a toothpick or something. I don't know how they've done that. I mean, it's awful. Covered in razor rivets. Everything's just awful. It really is. But I quite like it. It's got a charm to it, and people love these things. I mean, these classic kits are really, really popular. I don't think Airfix are going to make them anymore. I think they've done a batch. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that there's a batch of them that they're released, and then once they're gone, they're gone. They're not going to do any more. But they get mixed appeal. You know, people say, "Oh, they're rubbish. You shouldn't charge that much for them and stuff." I think it cost me 20 quid or something. I think if you shifted the decimal point to the left, that's about how much it should cost. But it's a challenge, isn't it? That's what it's all about. It's a bit of fun. Expectations are low, but I mean, it fits kind of. But, there's not many parts to it either. It's just you're just basically building a shape of a Hampden, aren't you? You're not really building anything. You can't expect it to be super accurate in detail or anything like that. I'm not convinced the undercarriage is going to be worth doing. I don't know if it's... I'll have a go at it. I'll see if I can do it, but if I can't, I'll just do it in flight. I might have to make that decision quite soon though, because whether the doors are... it makes sense to do it in flight, and you get pilots. And funnily enough, the pilots are blooming good. And they're not brilliant, but you know, it's got an oxygen mask and everything, and you've got all the crew and everything. They're better pilots than they put in some of the new ones. So I can't complain about the pilots at all. I certainly won't be putting any bombs in it. They look like Lewis guns, or Vickers gas operated Lewis. Yeah, the guns aren't too bad actually. You get an option for the bomb bay open or closed, so I'll just close it. I reckon I can do something with this. The clear parts are okay. I don't know how well they'll fit, but that don't matter. I'll just make them fit. So yeah, footage to follow. Interesting aeroplanes, the Hampden. I'll do a bit of a history thing about it. In fact, I've probably already done it, and you'll listen to me rabbit on after I've done that. But nicknamed the Flying Pencil, I think, because it's so thin. I think the whole thing is only 4 foot wide, the fuselage. So it must have been quite cosy inside this thing. And I read a few reports saying that they're quite manoeuvrable aeroplanes. They were quite good to fly. They gave a couple of Spitfires had run for the money in testing. They're quite a manoeuvrable aeroplane. I mean, they're all engine out there. But they got shot to bits, didn't they? In the environment that they were used. They didn't do very well, but I think anything would have struggled how they used them. So they didn't last very long, but there you go. Yeah, that's alright. That fuselage is fine. All the rivets, I'll just take them off, or I'll sand them off till there's hardly anything left. Still, I don't want them like they are. I don't think they're riveted airplanes. I don't think they're riveted all over like this. But that's typical aircraft or any kit from the 70s. But yeah, well, I'll have a go at this one. It'd be nice if I could do it. It's quite like, since I did the Heinkel build, which you haven't seen yet, I'm quite into these. Into bombers again, 72nd scale bombers that is. I'm doing bombers, big ones in, you could do this in 48th, it'd be alright, wouldn't it? Not that anybody's ever going to make one in that, because I don't think it's an aeroplane that people really care about. apart from nostalgic people, and that's who's going to build this kit is nostalgia, isn't it? It takes you back. Not like I don't think I ever built one when I was a kid, actually. I don't think I ever did it. I don't remember doing it. But, yeah, that's all the bits anyway. There's not much to it, is there? So I think the first job to do with this is just to get all the parts, because it doesn't matter if you take them off the sprues anyway, because you can't misidentify anything because there's nothing here. It's getting all the parts off and then cleaning them all up best you can and see what you've got. I don't think there's going to be a right lot of detail going on inside the cockpit. I'll just paint it green and put a seating and what have you, and that's it. Well, all the effort's going to go on the outside. But, yeah, so there we go. One Hampden. I must be mad. So I'll get cracking with that. Right, I'm just assessing what you can and can't see inside the cockpit. Obviously it depends on how much detail. I'm not going to, obviously you can't get aftermarket parts for these things, but you can make your own. And it has got quite a lot of glass at the front there. I suppose you could just paint it green in there and leave it at that. And then you've got the main cockpit here, which is there. So I think you can see quite a bit in there really. I mean, obviously the glass itself isn't that clear, but it's going to need sanding anyway. I can't just glue it on there and leave it. It's going to get blended in and sanded. And what I'll do, I did this with the Heinkel recently. You basically just polish sand it all up, fill it as much as you like with UV resin, and then just sand it till it looks right, until it's perfectly smooth and perfect, and then create the frames with masks. So you create a mask, put that on there, and then you paint it. You end up with a frame line made by the paint itself, not by a moulded line like this, because they're too thick anyway. But it does mean making the masks to do it, which I'll have to make manually. I don't think anybody makes masks for these. I might ask my usual supplier. See if he does masks for these. But if you do make masks for me, you have to make them before you start chopping it up, so you know they're in the right shape and everything like that. So yeah, the cockpit, as expected, it's not much to it really. It's just that bit fits there like that, and then you've got this beautifully detailed seat that fits there, which is horrendous, isn't it? That's not a seat, is it? So I'm going to make a new seat, I think, because that's not a seat. Then you've got the instrument, joystick thingy there, which is way too big. I mean, if you look at the size of the pilot, it's like I don't know, it's massive. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, I'll see. And then you've got a stool at the back here for the dude at the back to fit on. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one, is this, I think. I think the only thing I can actually use out of the kit so far is that bit, but I can glue those two bits together, so I'll do that, and I'll scratch my head a little bit more to decide where I want to go with this. Back in a bit. Right, okay, I'm not sure what to do with this yet. I'll explain what that is in a minute. Put the cockpit flooring and what have you, and painted it green just to see what it looks like. So you've got the nose canopy, which fits quite well actually, it's not too bad. But the actual clarity of the glass isn't that good. Even if I polish it on the outside, it's never going to be clear on the inside, so it'll always be, this is as good as it's going to get, to be fair. And you kind of can't see a right lot, but you can see something. It's the same for this one as well. So you can see a bit in there. So if you painted it black in there, it looks quite good because it just disappears and it all goes away, but it wouldn't be black, would it? It'd be green. So I have to put something in there. At the moment what I'm doing is working out how to get these side windows in down here, because they don't fit very well, as you can expect, because they've got like a little rim round them, when you put them into that space there, there's a big massive gap around them on the inside, this side, which is no good at all. So what I've done, I'll do the same with that one. I've cut the rim off so it just sits in the gap, and it fits flush with that piece of masking tape now. So it fits really well. The actual shape of it is fine, it just doesn't sit flush with the surface of the plastic. So what I'm going to do now, gluing it in is the hardest part. These little side windows on bombers are a pain. They're always, I don't like them at all. So what I'm going to do is glue them in with glue and glaze, which is, I've used this quite a lot. This dries clear. You can actually make canopies out of it, or you can make clear parts out of it. So you can put this stuff on quite liberally, and that will dry clear. I'm going to remove some of that. So I don't necessarily need it to be. I'm putting a lot on because I want it to go in the gaps. And I'll wipe off the excess. And I hope when that's dry, it'll look alright on the other side. So I'm just going to do that one. Go through hundreds of cotton buds. So you get that. So that's the way I'm going to do that, I think. I won't know until that dries and what it looks like on the other side. So yeah. So on this one, so what I've been doing with it is I just cut this little rim around it. Just cut it off. Carefully, because it's on a curve here. So you end up with that. And just drop it in there like that. So if you don't put the tape on, it just falls right through the hole. So that's quite well positioned, I think. So we'll leave those two to dry and then see how they look. In the meantime, I shall work out what I'm going to do with the cockpit. If it was, I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to just paint it black inside, but I suppose that's cheating, isn't it? There's a decal to go on there, that's the instrument panel there. Oh yeah, one decal there, that looks like it's too wide. It might fit, but that'll certainly go in there. So yeah, not sure what to do. See, the instrument, this thing's okay. I'll clean that up. That's alright. That's a stool that goes at the back. You can't see that, it's just pointless. Put it. And then there's a seat which I've lost, and the seat's just a joke as well. It's just an innocuous blob of plastic. What have I done with it? I don't know. I'll find the seat and be back. Yeah, that's the seat. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that either yet. I think once this fuselage is together and that, I think it's quite plain sailing. I still don't want to do with it. It'll be a time consuming thing though, because everything needs well, sanding up, modifying, you know, thinning down, considerable amount of rivet work. I don't want to remove all the rivets, but unfortunately when you sand them they disappear. So I'm going to have to map out where all the panel lines are, because it's what I'm thinking of doing when I paint it is just obviously do some various basically an underpainting, and then pick it out in white patches. But if the panel lines are gone, you can't see where they are. You can always guess, but it ain't going to be easy that. But we'll see. So yeah, I'll wait till Oz is right, and I'll be back. Okay, things have changed a bit. The windows things didn't work because they looked okay, but they didn't have any strength. So as soon as you start to press on the sides of them, they move, which is no good to me because I need to polish them up and sand them and things. So what I've decided to do, I've got them out. I've taken them out and cleaned them up, and I've made them fit ready quite well. I'm going to fit them right at the end, so I'll put them in from this side. Well, not at the end, but later on in the build when it's painted, I'll let them go in from this side carefully, and I'll bond them in from this side, and then that should be alright. This bit fits quite well, so it's alright about. Anyway, I've glued it together. I'm not going to worry too much about the inside. What I have decided to do is fit the pilot, because it kind of solves a lot of problems with that. The pilot's not big enough, I don't think. If you look at the pictures, I'll throw it up now. The pilot sits really high. I mean, I suppose it's alright, but it takes away the necessity to add any more detail in there, because the pilot takes up all the room, if you like. So it ain't a bad looking pilot really. I don't mind having an oxygen mask on at this point, but if it was in flight I suppose it might. So I'll put him in the front. This is I'm going to use this as the bombardier or whatever it does. He is supposed to sit on a stool, and I can't find one in the kit. Where it is I don't know. So I'll have to put a little peg in there just for him to sit on. So he'll sit on there like that. I don't know why all these pilots are hunched over like they've got something wrong with them. I mean, these are in fetal position. I mean, that's got to be the most uncomfortable position ever. What's all that about? I'm not putting those in. The rear crew members, I'm not going to put them in because, well, I could put that one in, but it just looks stupid. And putting that one in there is a nightmare because there's nothing to fasten him to. It shows you this little stool on the instructions just pointing in a general direction. No, it's not going to happen. So that one's not going to get a pilot, and that one's not going to get a pilot, but I don't mind that. The pain in the bum with these things is the guns. It's got two guns sticking out the back and they get in the way. So I've got to work out how to fit the guns without getting in the way of the rest of the build, if you like. So I'm leaving the bomb bay off for now, so I might be able to get to fitting the guns from this side, possibly, I don't know. Anyway, it's glued together. It's gone together quite nicely actually. The wings don't fit because these slots originally, I cut them out and made them a bit bigger. The slots are too big. Well, these wing root things are too big. I mean, you could thin those down, but it's easier to cut a bigger hole. So that fits now, kind of. And it doesn't fit too bad actually. So zoom back out. I'm sorry I keep losing. I've noticed on the footage I've already done. I've wandered off camera a little bit with some of the footage, so I'm trying to rectify that. It's got a hell of a wing area, this model, this aeroplane. That's not big enough yet. I don't remember the slot big enough. You just basically nibble away at it, and then you end up on the fit. It doesn't even fit. It's because there's so much flash on these now. You spend your life chopping lumps of flash off everything, which is fine. That's what it's supposed to be, innit? You don't buy this kit thinking it's going to be good. Trust me, it's not. So the plan at the moment is to get it built as a structure, if you like, as a complete, I don't know, get all the bits on it. That's the wings. Huge wing, massive wing. Look at all that wing area, it's massive. So we've got that. I've built this tail up as well, and that goes, I've put a little, I haven't glued those on yet, these are little bottom finlets, and that goes on the back of there like that. really long moment arm as well. That moment arm, if anybody's interested, it's the difference between just the centre of gravity and the tail plane, if you like. So it must be quite a stable aeroplane actually. And these are the little, I don't know, little finlets. It doesn't have a right lot of fin area at all, but it has got quite a lot of dihedral on the wing, kind of. So what I want to do is, the major part of this model is getting it all to fit reasonably well, and then all the seam lines and everything sanded up so it's capable of taking paint, and thinning it all down because everything's too chunky. It's all like it's just typical old school Airfix, all chunky and bulbous and horrible. And that's horrible. Same with the Airlands, ain't blending in. So what you end up doing with it's a bit like, it reminds me of building I build a lot of flying models I've done in my past. So you're basically making a shape, aren't you? The detail in this is you just forget about it. There isn't any detail worth keeping. As long as you get the shape something like, you're on a winner with it really. So that's what I'm trying to do really, get the shape right. So I'm going to get it all built as a complete unit, so it's a finished airplane structure wise, and then I can start working out how to do everything else. But I'm not going to put any of the canopies on yet or anything. Get it all sanded up and I'll get a coat primer on it, because I can still, even if I put primer on it, if I get black in there it doesn't matter, because I can still paint it green later afterwards. So have a look at the undercarriage. The undercarriage probably will go in alright. You're supposed to put some like plates at the other side, but it just basically sits there like that. There's nothing else to it really, and there's some like strut work and stuff. And then you've got the undercarriage doors that don't actually glue to anything particularly. They're just kind of, it just says points roughly, put them there. So that's all you do, you just glue them to the side of there. So yeah, it's an interesting one. So I shall be back when what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it on camera, but well, I'll do a little bit, I'll show you what I mean, but basically I've done it with that tail. You've got to sand it quite aggressively. Do it with that one actually. In fact, I took a file to it first, just to get it straight. I mean, it's not straight even. So you're getting the shapes right. These are two halves, bear in mind, so there's seam lines all over them. But you've got to get there. I don't know how anybody could build one of these out of the box without doing any work on it. It just look awful. It look like it just wouldn't be worth doing it. Horrible thing. But look at the strand edges. I mean, they're supposed to be like this scale. I'll just zoom in a bit, try to remember to zoom back out again. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's like probably a foot thick or something in reality. So you've got to kind of do this a lot all over it, and you start to question, why am I doing this? This is crazy. But if you want a 1/72 scale Hampden, this is all you got. They do a 1/48 scale. I forgot who makes it now, but I think that's a much better kit, obviously. Well, anything's better than this. But so bear in mind, I've got to do this all over the whole model really. But I'll do my best with it. So I think it'll. Whoops! It should look something like, but I've got to do everything. I think people build them as they are out of the box, just as a that's proper nostalgia, isn't it? That's building it as it used to look when it it came out, sort of thing. But I ain't doing that. Just have a print bin. It's horrible. And all the rivets, I'll at some point I'll throw some pictures up of a real Hampden. There's a few in a museum somewhere being restored. I think there's some in Canada or something. And they've got panels on them, but they're not riveted. Well, they might be riveted, but they're very, very subtle. I think they're overlapping joints on them. They're not they're not butt joints. They're overlapped panels. But, So I need to do a lot of that. It's going to take a long time. So I'm not going to do it on camera because it'd be really boring. So I'll be back when I've got all the thing cleaned up and I've joined the wings together, and then we've got the basic airframe in place. So it'll be a few moments later for you, but it'll be a long time for me. So back in a bit. Right, this is what I've been doing for the last, I don't know, a couple of hours. This is the finished tail, or that side of it if you like. I'll try and get a bit closer. And what I've done, I've thinned it all down, all over. Removed all the silly rivets that don't need to be there. I've rescribed in those panel lines. They're just there as more of a guide for painting, if anything. They don't really need to be there, but I need to find some lines for painting for the undercoat, or underpainting if you like. I've thinned everything down, thinned all that bit down there. Keeping the shapes quite difficult. It does actually stick out more there, but I can't really do that because I can't cut it away. But it's a lot better than it was. This is what it looks like out of the kit, because yeah, that's the alternative. I mean, it's just horrendous, isn't it? So that's before, that's after. So it takes a lot of doing. Well, not a lot of doing, it's not hard, it's just time consuming. That's just basically sandpaper, scraping, your files, everything, basically. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So I just thought I'd leave that side just so you can see what I'm doing with it, basically. So yeah, once it's painted up, I think it'll look quite cool actually. But it means the whole wing has got to be done like this. And the wing isn't too bad. I mean, I will thin the tips down. The trailing edges are surprisingly good. They're not very straight. I mean, they're horrendous looking, but you know, nothing that a file won't sort out. And I'll remove. I might try and keep some of that panel line in, just as I say, as a guide for painting, because it's not that bad. It's just the leading edges and the trailing edges, but I might be able to save most of those. So yeah, it's not doing bad. The tail's probably going to take more doing than anything really. It's only small, but there's lots to do on it. Yeah, looking at the wing, it's not so bad. So progress. Okay, progress so far. These are the wings. So that's kind of what I'm doing with this wing. As you can see, that's a before. Very gnarly looking lump of plastic. I'm still working on this one, but what I've done, before I remove the rivets, I scribe in a panel line, so I don't lose it, if you like. And then I scribe a panel line, and then I sand off the rivets. And I've kind of re-profiled I've sanded up all the leading edges. I've even flattened that off there as well. I've squared up that trailing edge because obviously it's like that. It's horrible, isn't it? So I've scribed it in. It's only white because it's got dust in it. And that's just the dust from sanding it like this. You know, it fills with dust as the gap. But the lines are there just to help me with painting it. They're nothing to. I don't want them to show particularly. By the time I've lacquered it a few times and stuff, they should disappear anyway. But when I paint it, I'm going to pre-shade all these lines, or some of them anyway, just to give it a bit of interest, I suppose. So the principle for that is, I haven't done this side yet, as you can see. It's quite a laborious task actually. It takes a good, I don't know, about an hour a side, maybe a bit less or something. So they don't have to be super duper accurate, they just have to give you an idea as to where they are. And I suspect the Airfix ones aren't super duper accurate either. So you just pick a line like that. I've got a pointy scriber there like that. And all you do is you do that with all the rivet lines. So don't worry about the rivets, it doesn't matter what else they're going. When I've got the rivet sanded off, then I've got a Revel scriber. I can do it now, I suppose. I just deepen it or make it cleaner with this, like that. And that's all you need to do. But all of them. I need to do the fuselage as well, and I didn't actually do it before I took the rivets off the fuselage, so I'll have to guess a little bit like that on that. And I can't do it on the curvy bits. I could do, but as long as I know where the lines are, I don't really care. So I know what the curves on the lines on the curvy bits, if you like, from the side ones, so I don't need to scribe those really. So it's just a case of doing this. It's quite easy. It's a bit tricky on some of the shorter ones where the rule don't fit in. It's just a case of doing that, and then I think these trailing edges aren't too bad. I might thin them down a bit, but they do fit very well. I mean, the wings fit quite good. It fits not too bad at all actually. It's not a perfect fit by any means, but there's a big massive gap in it, but once it's glued on it won't take a lot to get that to fit and profile properly, so I'm quite happy with that. Glued the tail on. I don't know if I glued the tail on in the last bit of video that I did. It's very difficult to find a decent picture of one of these at the back. Seeing this part of the aeroplane on a photograph, quite rare. There are some around there, but I can't tell how this part of the tail fits to this boom. I don't know if there's supposed to be a step or a gap there. Probably not. I suspect that's just a design feature of the kit. I don't know. I probably will blend it in, I think, because I think it'll just look more appealing anyway. You've got to use a bit of guesswork, I think, with this sort of kit, because I don't think any of it's particularly accurate, but it's quite fun to do so far. This wing's coming out quite nice, so yeah, it's just a case of plodding on with that. I'll keep going on this one and on the other one as well, and then we can get them glued onto the fuselage. Okay, now that all the lines are scribed in, that's all we do. These wing tips are a bit chunky. I've already profiled the top one, so I'm just sanding that. Just making it a bit more pleasant. Just keep going with different grades of sandpaper. I mean, you could leave the rivets on, I suppose, but it's more akin to a steam train than it is an aeroplane at the moment. They're too big. This plastic's kind of weird. It's got a I don't know, it's got like a rubbery texture to it. It doesn't feel, I don't know, it's not a nice plastic to work with really. I'm sure it's probably the same stuff that Airfix use in all the kits, but it may be psychological, I don't know, but that's certainly not the best plastic in the world. I can't imagine why they'd use different plastics, I suppose it's probably just me. Right, let's go down. Obviously got the air on to deal with as well. And then finally I use sanding pad. The primer coat will fill quite a lot of the little minor marks and things. can do, you can actually just clean them out as well. I don't really want them to show that much, really. Just enough for me painting it, as I said. So there you go, that's that wing done, really. Obviously I'll just shove a primer coat on it and see what it looks like. I could actually thin that this trailing edge down a bit more. At least give the illusion of it being thinner just by beveling the end of it. I'll play with that, I'll experiment with it. So that wing's done enough now to put it on there. I just need to do this one now. Hey! So I'll show you how I deal with these leading edges. Pretty nasty. File. Bit too rough, that. I get really confused when I see other people building aeroplanes, and they're really careful not to destroy paddle lines in detail. There's me at it with I don't know what grit that is, but I just don't see the point in being cautious of that sort of thing. Because I mean, if it's a really fancy kit like a Zucamari or something, or a kit that's got detail that's worth keeping, and there's nothing wrong with it, yeah, I get with it. But this sort of thing, that's you're not losing out. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing there to destroy. You can do nothing but make it better. And this is just like building flying and model aeroplanes out of wood. It's just the same thing, it's just a different medium, it's plastic instead of wood. So yeah. I need to square these up. It's covered in flash, of course. Dry fire it. So, you get a file, get a safe edge on it so it doesn't damage the surface. So that edge needs to be straight, obviously. The only way to achieve that is something a bit under all this gnarliness and horrible whatever it is. There's quite a nice kit lurking under here, so it's alright. So yeah, that's how you get all the, I don't know, the basics down. Flatten that off with a, you don't have to do that, I just don't like looking scabby. So yeah, back into the scribing the lines on that one. I'll be back when I've done all that. Check out the aerolands. This is back in the day when Airfix used to make things that moved, because I like to appeal to children and make them into toys. I still do it a bit, don't I? That's ridiculous. So basically I've made them fit as close as I can to the actual wing, I've glued that in with super glue. It's still got to cure actually. But, when that cured, I'll basically do the same routine with it, sand it all back and fare it all into the wing. They are handed actually, the trim tabs inboard, and there's a mass balance weight that goes underneath there when it's finished. So yeah, just be mindful when you put them on if you're crazy enough to go under these things. So there, yeah, it needs glued in place as well. Right, that's the ailerons done. Not too bad. They've blended in quite well. To get them any better, you'd have to start adding filler and I don't know. It's diminishing returns sometimes with kits like this. You can end up making it look worse. So I'm happy with those. I think they'll be, when they're painted up, they'll be fine. So I'll put the balance things on afterwards at the end of the build. I think they'll just get broken off. So it's got holes there for some bombs. There's 2 bombs go on there. So I'm not sure. I'll leave the holes there for now. So I'm not bothered about the holes. And I might, if I really feel. If I haven't burnt myself out doing this, put the bombs on the outside of the wings, but they'll need heavily modified just to look something like. So on to gluing these on now. Cat's squawking again. They're just going to glue on with super glue basically, and then when they're on, I'll blend them in better to the roots. But they do fit quite well. I mean, they're just bob straight on. I mean, you have to make the holes bigger there. I think I've already shown that on video. But other than that, they fit quite nicely actually. So get those glued on now. So I'll show you how much effort needs to go into this wing root. That's to make the wing basically the same height as the root itself. It's not doing bad. That one's pretty good actually. And then what we need to do there, that shape, it's got a little step in it just there. So, it's very gently. Alter it. Sorry, I'm off camera again. So I'll do both sides and I'll start working on the bottom of it. Needed quite a lot of, I use super glue for everything now, it feels great. So that needs blending in and then tapering. So I'll be back when I've done that bit, you get the general idea. Right, after considerable amounts of scraping, sanding and blah blah blah, I'm happy with that so far. Quite enjoying doing this, it's a challenge, it's not a simple one of those kits where you just get out bits out of the box, glue it together and paint it sort of thing. It takes a bit of effort to build it. Now that Bombay door, I decided to close them for obvious reasons because the bombs are rubbish. It just snaps into place and it's a good fit now, which is good because I want to be able to remove that to get the gun in from this side on this lower gun position, because once I put the canopy on there I don't want the gun sticking out, it'd be a pain. So hopefully I can get the gun in from that side. So what I'm going to do now is paint the whole thing primer black, and I don't care if I get it in the cockpit because what I will do is then just mask off around the areas and then paint back in there green, but I do want to put some more detail in there if I can. I'll see how it goes, but I just want to make sure everything's right before I put any more effort into, I don't know, the rest of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of you don't know what you're going to get until you keep doing this sort of stuff. But it's gone really well. I mean, I'm quite happy with it. But it needs a coat of primer just to see where it needs any more touch-ups and fettling doing and stuff like that. But as I say, these panel lines are just there just so I can see where they are really. Nothing to, I don't want them to show particularly, but it's where I'm going to do some pre-shading and stuff, and I'll do the same on the fuselage. I might just put pencil lines on the fuselage actually. So that's enough, that's all I need to do really. So I shall be back when I've painted it black. And there we have it. These don't, obviously they're just put on temporarily. Fit quite well, do these things, they're not so bad. But yeah, black. Primer coat, that's highlighted what I need to do to just touch up little bits here and there. But, quite happy with that so far. It just needs, I don't know what to do with it next really. I need to decide what I'm going to do about inside it, I think. But that could come out near the last actually, before I put the screens on. So as regards the structure of it and everything, I'm really happy with that. Been quite a bit of work fettling it, but quite rewarding in the process, I think. So it's not a bad kit really if you're prepared to just hit it with a lot of sandpaper and a file. You can see little seam lines that need touching up and things like that, little areas that need sorting out there. That's just a crude mask over that piece of clear there because I haven't got the canopy masks yet. So I think what I'll probably do with it now is give it another fettle up and fix all the bits that need fixing. And then look at getting the inside bits done. And then we can get those transparencies on. Until they're on, you can't really do any more because well, you can't. I've got to blend all those in, which will then disturb all this again because I'll probably have to sand round those as well. But yeah, I'm pleased with it. It's worked out alright, so it's worth pursuing it more. Okay, I put a picture of this model up on Facebook on a few groups and stuff. Somebody kindly pointed out that the shape of the wingtips is wrong. This is the kit version, if you like. It's far too curved. The Hampden wingtips are like this really, and they've got lights in each corner as well. So basically I've trimmed that one to make it that shape. This one, whoops, this one needs the same. So basically it's just a case of drawing a profile on it and then just cutting an end off it. There's enough meat on the plastic, if you like, to reprofile it, which I've done that on that one there. It just needs thinning back now and just trimming up. I'm not sure what to do about the lights yet. I might just paint them in. Quite big pieces of glass though. I could let some pieces of clear in, but I'm not sure if I want to go that far. Might just paint them in with coloured paint afterwards. But, certainly get the shape right. There are some little bits you need to address if you want. It depends how accurate you want to go with this. It does show on the actual model a forward firing gun there, which is just this like, it's just a piece of random plastic that looks horrendous. So it does have a gun sticking out there, little tiny. So I might have to fabricate something to facilitate a gun sticking out of the cockpit, just there. Other than that, the rest of it's okay, I think. I think I can fit the guns in from this side for this part of the canopy. It does have a gun at the front here, I think, which will terribly get in the way when I'm painting it, masking it and everything. So what I might do is put the gun in from this side and then just cut the barrel off and then reattach the barrel when it's finished. It doesn't have a gun sticking out the back, so I'm having it closed so the gun's inside, if you like. I'm not going to paint in there, so I don't think you can see much. I'm not putting any crew figures in it if I can help it. I'm just going to put minimal detail in the front of the cockpit. Again, you can't see a right lot anyway, so I'm not bothered. Most of the details are on the outside. This is detachable, so that just clips in there really nicely actually. I'll just put in bits of super glue into the seams and stuff and fill in little gaps and things and just letting it dry, and I'll sand it up again later. So I need to address this light here, that needs sorting out. Other than that, it's getting there. I'm just waiting for the canopy masks. This canopy goes there like that and it fits quite nicely, but it's a bit wide. It wants squashing in like this. You see it bend, but you can't do it like, you won't force that to do that. So that needs gluing on there, but it needs pushing into place before the glue goes in. So I'll have to do that quite carefully, I think. Other than that, glue it in place and then sand it back. I'm not sure if it's thick enough to be able to get away with doing that. I'd rather, sanding it back makes more sense really, but it'll need sanding back anyway. It's, I might just kind of clamp it there and there to get it at the right level, and then just drop some glue in at the back and hope it grabs it. But yeah, it's coming on quite nicely. I just watched a video by Rex's Hanger, it's on YouTube. He kind of does historical things about the development of aircraft and stuff, and there's one about the Hampden itself, and it's very interesting how it was developed and why it's the shape it is and stuff. It's to do with regulations and stuff before wars happen, and now they decide there was a restriction on weight and what there could be, the size that bombers could be at the time in the 30s, early 30s. So it was all a big compromise. How it's developed. Worth watching. I'll put a link in the description actually. It's well worth a watch if you're interested in Hampdens and how it became what it is and stuff like that. Anyway, moving on. I'm feeling a bit groggy today because I've had a hernia operation on Saturday. It's now what day is it today? I've no idea what day it is. Monday. So I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable at the moment. But I'm just trying to do this just to take my mind off it all. So yeah, next job is to get the canopies all right, I think, so I can get the masks on, and then we can start putting some more primer down, and then getting some camo down on it. Back in a bit. Glue the light on, just painted it chrome inside there and glue the light lens on. I've super glued it in place. I'll just let that go off a bit and I'll sand all this area up and then repolish it. And that's, yeah, it's alright. There we are, I think it's in focus. That's the landing light, or whatever light it is, blended in. It's full of resin and all sorts of stuff to make it kind of conform to the shape of the wing, but it certainly looks better than it just plonked on the front there. But, onward and upward. Okay, bit of progress. I've got the canopy masks now. The canopies are an interesting one. This is obviously the front one. What I've done, I've stuck the gun in there now. So the gun's in from the back, but I don't want the gun sticking out because it'll just get in the way. So I'm just going to cut that off. Keep that for later, and I'll glue the barrel back on again later. It's very important that that stays sealed, so I'll make sure that there's no dust can get in that part there. I've decided what I'm going to do with the top turret, if you like, if you can call it a turret. It's not a turret, is it? Good position? I don't know. I'm going to have this one open, so that's basically the canopy that fits there like that. It doesn't have to be sealed or anything like that, which is good. And I can put that on afterwards, and I can get the guns in. They'll just sit under that little lip there. So there's two little, I think they're Lewis guns or whatever they are, getting VGOs, because gas operated ones, whatever. This aeroplane was pitifully poorly armed. It was one of its biggest criticisms. It didn't have very good guns at all. This is the upgraded version of the guns, by the way. It has two guns underneath here. I can fit this piece of clear, and then I can fit the guns in just from underneath there, so I can fit those in afterwards. So that's okay. The top canopy, it fits alright actually. Again, I can put that on and seal it all up. Again, I'm very cautious of getting dust in it. I'm not going to paint any detail inside this at all. I'm going to paint in there green, but that's about it. The rest of it I'm going to leave it black, because the detail in it's just minimal. You can't see anything anyway, and I don't think when the canopy's on you're going to see a right lot because of the clarity of the glass anyway. And I think it looks better black inside than it does if it was a light colour with no detail in it. There's a clear part on the top here. If you look at the instructions, there's a clear window there, and it does supply a clear part, but it's such a wide platform for the clear part to fit on. It no longer resembles that shape at all. So what I'm going to do is camo it all up and everything. I'll mask off that area, and I'll paint some black. I'll put a frame in and I'll paint it black, and then I'll gloss it and it'll look like glass from above, in theory. That's what I'm going to do with that, because at the moment it just looks wrong and you can't possibly make it look clear. It just looks stupid. These side windows I can put in afterwards, I think. I've made it so that they fit reasonably well. If it comes to worst, I can always just make the glass up with glue and glaze, just bridge the gap and make a glass window from that if I really need to. But I can get to all of this, as I say, from the Bombay, which is really, really good. So what I'm working on now is just getting this glass stuff fitted. Now that one needs to go on there now. as I said earlier on in the video, these are a little bit wide and they need squeezing in like this. So what I'm going to do is hold it in place and clamp it like that there, and then when I glue, put a runner, let glue just run in the edge there, and hopefully it'll grab it and it'll hold it in place. So that's the job for that one. This one can just go straight on, and then I'll make sure it's sealed right way around, and then I'll sand all that up and polish it all up. That one can go on last. That one can go on, I don't know, I might be able to get on quite later on in the build as well, so I'm not too fussed about that. So we're getting there. Quite a nice thing to make actually. It's a bit of a challenge because it's with it being a classic kit, obviously it certainly doesn't, there's certainly not much detail in it, and what there is poor. So yeah, next job, get this thing on, I think. Okay, what I've done, I've clamped this thing, just pulled it in at the edges. Now I've put some extra thin on that edge there, around this front part here. I'm just going to leave that and see if it grabs it. Give it half an hour or so and see if it works. Should be alright, I think it'll be alright. But yeah, a bit of patience with this part. Right, there we go, that's all the clear parts fitted. I ended up fitting that with super glue. Super glued it around the edges. It was fine, it didn't fog up or anything. I filled all the gaps and stuff are fitted with please excuse me voice, it's anaesthetic, messed up my voice for some reason. I've put UV resin all around the edges, sealed all the gaps, and now it's the time. I've let it cure a bit, so next job is to sand all that up and polish it up, and I'll create the frames. I mean, I'll lose some of the frames, but they're too thick anyway. I'll create the frames with masking. Hopefully it'll work out alright, but it's starting to look like a Hampden now, isn't it? It's certainly got that shape to it. So yeah, back when I've done some sanding and polishing. When I said sanding and polishing, I really mean sanding and polishing. Quite hard grip sandpaper this. I want the frames to blend into the fuselage. I hate canopies that just look like they're kind of they're not part of the aeroplane really, they're just like an afterthought. They're supposed to be part of the structure and the framework. And the only way you can achieve that with these old kits, or even kits that canopies don't fit on properly, is to sand the canopy till it fits the framework and it becomes as one, if you like. Might look a bit extreme, but it really isn't that big a deal. As I say, the only thing you've got to be careful of is getting excessive amounts of dust inside the canopy because it shows. Right, you get the idea. I'll be back when I've achieved my goal. Okay, looks horrendous at the moment. It's all roughed out, but that's basically how the canopies should be, but blended in now. Yeah, they look awful. But what you do now, you just sand it back up again with various grits of sandpaper, and then the canopies will start to come through again. They'll start to show again as clear parts. Trust me, it'll work. I think. If it don't work, you won't be seeing this video. Let's put it that way. Bring it back with 1500 grit. Smooths out everywhere around that area. What is good about these old kits is the canopies are really thick, so you've got plenty of beef to go at them. You can sand them quite a lot and it won't go through them. So basically I keep doing this. I'll be back when I've done this part. Okay, what I'm doing now is polishing it with Tamiya coarse polishing compound at the moment. As you can see, it's starting to come back again. Quite a, I don't know, don't take that long really. So basically I'll keep plodding on, I think is the term, I don't know. Keep going with this. So you can see the clarity's coming back again now. So it's I've got dust in that canopy, but I've got a cunning plan to get that out. So I'll just keep plodding on with this and I'll be back when I'm done with that bit. Right, after quite a considerable amount of time polishing, I'm quite happy with those. In fact, I'm very happy with those. They're too good really. But yeah, I'm happy with them. You can't tell the benefit from doing this is not apparent until you paint it, because at the moment it just still looks like it's just glued on the front onto the plastic, but what you can't see is that it's seamless. The actual division between the glass and the opaque plastic is invisible when you paint it. So when it's painted with masks on there and the masks then create the frames, it should look pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy with those. I think the lack of detail inside the cockpit's irrelevant, because as I say, when you look at it, it's just dark inside, and at this scale I don't think it matters at all. I really don't. I've put the gun in there so you can see the bit of the gun, but other than that it's fine. So next job now, I'm still considering what to do with these windows here. I haven't decided yet, but I probably will put them in at the end, I think. So I'm confident that they will go in there. Now this is because I've polished it so much, the paint's come off this. This is the window here on the top. I'm just going to zoom in on it. If you look at the shape of it, it is a square window, but because of the width of the frame of the plastic, if you like, it's now become the wrong colour, wrong shape of it, if you like. So if you look at the actual how it's supposed to be, it goes the other way. It's supposed to be like that, which you can't do with that glass. It's impossible because it's the wrong shape altogether. So what, as I say, what I'm going to paint all that, and then I'll mask it off, and I'll paint some black squares and paint them gloss, and it'll look quite contrasty against the flat or relatively matte finish of the actual camo on the model itself. So we should be alright. Make it look okay. I've got to kind of rig up a gun on here somehow. I'll probably just stick that on the outside. I'll make it up and then just plonk it on the outside of it. But now it's time to put the masks on and get a coat of primer on it. In fact, the bottom isn't primer, it's going to be that colour anyway, so it is going to be painted black underneath anyway. So I'm painting it black all over. But that's the next job, get the masks on. Right, a bit of a snag, I think. These old kits are alright. Well, they're not actually, they're rubbish. I'm being very blunt, they're rubbish. But they are, you can do a lot to them. I mean, I think I've done quite a reasonable job on this. It's looking alright, it's starting to come along. And once it's got paint down on it, I think it'll look quite good. However, the canopies are always the biggest weak point with any of these kits. Now I've got the canopies to fit nicely. I'm quite happy with those. They blend in nice, the clarity's fine, all that sort of business. But when it comes to masking them, it's difficult, because you can buy a commercial mask for them, but they don't fit anymore because the frame lines, well, Airfix have guessed, they're not accurate. They're not anything like the Hampden. If you look at photographs of Hampdens, the way that the frames and lines are done and everything, nothing like what Airfix have done. I mean, I can't expect them to be out. I mean, they were done many years ago, these kits. So they're kind of a best guesstimate out there. They're a rough estimate as to how they used to look. And if you buy a commercial mask, that's how they're made, but I don't want them to be like that. I want them to look like the Hampden's canopy frames should look, which means I've got to make my own. And they've got to be so accurate now, because there are no frame lines left on these canopies anymore. There's nothing, it's just smooth. So to create the frames of the canopies, the masks have got to be so accurate that anything that, if they're not accurate, they just look rubbish. So I've hit this snag where I've got to kind of work out how to do that. And it sounds easy, but it's not. Trust me, I've tried it. It's making them fit properly and be in the right places. You're talking tiny millimetres of space between things. It's a really challenging thing to do, and you start to question, am I nuts doing this? Because it's a rubbish kit to start with. If I was doing it again, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't bother doing it because it's not worth the effort. When I've spent hours on this kit, absolutely hours on it, and you start to question, is it worth the effort? Because there's other kits out there that are near perfect that I just don't need that sort of effort. But if you want a 72nd scale Hampden, this is it. This is the only one that's available. So you take your choice when you build this sort of thing. You've got to decide, do I really want a 72nd scale Hampden? Now the reason I took this on is just, I did it for the challenge of it, which I suppose it's certainly done that. And I've conquered it. I think I've conquered most of the challenges from it, apart from these bloody canopies. So I'm going to end the video now anyway, and just let me know your thoughts, comments. Am I crazy? Am I nuts doing it? What do you reckon? I mean, should I pursue it and put a lot of effort into it? Because to do these masks now, when you consider, I mean, that face there is flat really. It's supposed to be flat. And it has a circular mask around it and like an oval shaped egg shape. So I'd have to make a mask to do that. And then you've got to make a mask to go around the outside of it. And then you've got to do some curved masks. It's a nightmare. The whole thing's a freaking nightmare. And then you've got all this tiny little, there's loads of little window panes in this thing. It's not just one thing. So it's going to take a lot of work to just do that bit before I can get to the point where I can actually paint it. So I'm a bit miffed off with it really at the moment, but when you get to the stage where it's just going to hit the shelf of doom at the moment. So up to this point it's gone really well and I've quite enjoyed it. I hate those canopies and I hate the idea of having to put loads of effort and time into those masks. So I'm being honest, I'm just going to show what it's like to make models. Sometimes they don't always go to plan, do they? So yeah, masks, it's not like them. So I'll end the videos at an hour long, isn't it, this, so I'm going to leave it at that point. You can watch it if you want. And I'll be back. I don't want to give up on it because I've put so much effort into this thing. I want to kind of see it through, but it's having the physical time to do this. I mean, I've got loads of other commission work coming up now. I've got 7 kits to build, plus my own stuff that I want to do as well, which I can't do them all. It's just impossible. So it's setting aside the time, isn't it? Quality time to do that work, and it's a lot of work. So yeah, bear it in mind when you build these classic kits. They're alright, but the canopies aren't. They're not. You're not going to get, unless you put an awful lot of work into this sort of area, the model's just going to look like it was made in the 70s. It always will do, you know what I mean? I don't think it would have done. If I can get these canopies nailed, I think it'll look pretty good. I think I could make this look really good. But anyway, enough of me whinging on. Let me know your thoughts, comments. Should I pursue it? Should I leave it on the shelf of doom? Should I give it to dog to eat it? I don't know. I really don't. So anyway, like, subscribe, all that business. Catch you on the next one.